So, good morning, Sunday morning with Hamster. How are you? Yes, 9:54 a.m. Central Time, St. Louis, Missouri. Gives them all. So, I'm kind of going straight for a breakfast beer this morning because this article and sort of this theme really has been kind of going around, and a lot of guys call it the epiphany phase. Um, with respect to women who eventually get old enough, and for whatever reason, they look back on their past with regret, such as maybe I shouldn't have been such a garden tool, etc., and so on. And even in the article, she'll point out a couple of things here, which is the conundrum. It's the bitch. Mr. Hemi Four Speed, good morning. Mohanad is here. Peace be upon you as well, sir, and everyone all over the world. We all need more peace. No question about that. So, this woman's name is Bridget Phetasy. Now, I looked up Bridget a little bit here, and I don't have it shared. She was a comedian of some note, apparently, and she's a writer, and she's now she's a 43-year-old mommy, right? Got married, had a kid, barely got one. Got one over the goal line, very, very close to the end of the game. And she wrote this in, what is this called? Substack. I regret being a slur, from Bridget Phetasy. Now, I think a lot of people regret a lot of things, don't you? We all have regrets. We've all kind of fucked up at some point. Nobody's perfect. We do stupid things. And we've been told, when we're growing up, when we're, 13, 14, whatever, little hamster, better do this and that and don't do that. And of course, we interpret that at that age as, wow, you're just trying to stop me from having my fun. It's not your life. Don't smoke cigarettes as your mother lights one up. Don't drink as she drinks. It's sadder. It's just, it's crazy. But we all kind of get rebellious and we all kind of decide to do stupid shit, regardless of what our elders tell, aunties and grandmas and whatever. Little Bridget, don't do these things. You're going to regret it because it's going to. I don't care what you have to say. I'm going to do it anyway. Now, Bridget has had quite an interesting life. So it's not just the standard, I guess you could say, garden tool story. She apparently was, well, she doesn't say it in the story, but I did some background on this. She was addicted to heroin in her teens. And I guess she got clean in when she was 18 or so, which is good. Absolutely fantastic. So she was digging into some pretty serious shit when she was even in her, early to mid teens. Yeah, heroin addiction is nothing to play around with. And she also apparently struggled with other substances aside from heroin, alcohol, and some other stuff for, 20 years. So she eventually got off the stuff, and that's great. Good for her. Point is, though, there seems to be always something else. It's not like, okay, I'm just going to go out and be a garden tool. There seems to be more to it. There seems to be, I don't know, parents' issues, daddy issues, whatever the case is, but there seems to be more to the story. Rather than just, I'm a normal, adjusted, healthy teenage girl, woman going to college, I'm going to be a raging slut. All right, well, I'm sure there's some of that. And I say this because if you look at, for example, a lot of times you see the SJW types, or the woke people, or the alphabet people, whatever. The uniform is pretty much the same, right? A lot of tattoos, typically. You got the weird piercings in their faces. They got the weird hair. And so it's almost as if this is how you dress up to be an alphabet person. It's like, oh, okay. Great. The ones that don't dress up like that are just normal gay people. They don't want anything to do with these people. Anyway, so on and so forth. So eventually she got sobered up and she got married, had a baby. Good for her. I have nothing against that. I think the theme, though, is in Bridget's essay here, and it's long and it's pretty good. We'll try to get through most of it. Is that she's thinking to herself now, what am I going to tell my child, her daughter, right? What am I going to do? Well, the sad fact is you're not going to be able to do anything. That's it. The way society has been structured, courtesy of the fembots, by the way, nothing you can do, because that's an expectation of the young women to go out and have their hoe phase. Now, hopefully she doesn't have the heroin phase and all the rest of that, but I mean, it's all interrelated. You know, it doesn't necessarily correlate, but it certainly seems to be some things that kind of go together, if you know what I mean. So another thing about Bridget, and again, I don't know her. I'm sure she's wonderful. I'm not putting her down at all, so please don't misinterpret. But Bridget was a comedian, right? She tried to do that kind of work. And let me just say that it's been the hamster's experience when you get females in an entertainment sort of role, radio, comedy, music, television, film, they tend to be on the loose side. That's all I'm going to say. And she admits it here herself. So, I mean, I'm not making stories up. It's in her freaking essay here. Vidlaws. Prince Revolver's here. I'm a grumpy old man. Hey, look who's breeing up in the morning. Shite Poster is also here. And Zombro got your email, sir, or your comment. RGE covered it. Oh, okay. Let's see what Zombro has to say. Yep. Now, I think it's fair to point out that if people don't understand the temptation, I think Jordan Peterson says that in a way, you certainly have to understand the temptation of whatever, doing drugs, drinking too much, going out and being a garden tool, going out and being a Chad or whatever. The temptation, you need to understand that, of course, it sounds great. You know, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to feel good all the time, but there's a freaking cost. That's why you have parents to guide your ass when you're a child, because your parents likely have either been there themselves or they know people who have. And that's why all these evil, oppressive parents want to stop you from doing this stupid shit. Essentially, it's just a dead end. It's bad. Occasionally, you get good stories out of it. In Bridget's case, she didn't, die of an overdose or anything. She's still alive. She's still kicking. Got her stuff worked out. That's great. But how do you translate this into the younger generation of females? Now, do not take this the wrong way, gentlemen. There is a link in the description. She's still blaming men and everyone else for her problems. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's jump in. Upon opening Louise Perry's new book, The Case Against the Sexual Revolution, A New Guide to Sex in the 21st Century, I moved to tears by the dedication for the women who learned it the hard way. Unlike many other people who have read and reviewed Perry's work, actually, it's pretty interesting. She's got interviews floating around on her take. But again, it's still a fembot lens here, even with Louise Perry. I mean, she's nice, she's pretty, very soft-spoken. It's still from the fembot lens. So you can't get rid of the cancer, people. It's with us. We're just going to have to deal with it. Reading her book, blah, 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 blah. So she says, I was one of those sluts. I'm a case study for her thesis, a cautionary tale. I knew this book was going to be difficult, and it made me realize it's time to finish this essay, one I've been trying to write for 4 years. Now, here's where we get a little bit fembot-y, right? It's a tough needle to thread. I am grateful for the ability to control my reproductive cycle and make my own money. Okay. Women have always had the opportunity to, and men, to control their own reproductive cycle by not having sex. Abstinence works 100% of the time. And about making your own money, it's not a special deal, Bridget. It's not a badge of honor. This is what your foremothers wanted. You want women to go out in the workplace and be strong and powerful and bicycles and shit. Well, this is not an option anymore. This is what you wanted, and of course you have to make your own money, so it's not a big deal. 50 years ago, 60 years ago, maybe not today. It's the expectation to be an adult. You handle your own shit. But I digress. But the freedom has come at a price. The dark side of the sexual revolution is, even though it liberated women, now here we go. Look at this. Unyoking sex from consequences has primarily benefited men. Do you see what I mean? Still a fembot to the bitter end. Now, what she won't admit is that it actually is the fembots who lied to her about all this shit. But of course, she can't. I can't. I'm a member of a cult. Unyoking sex from consequences. Who doesn't have consequences for sexual activity? Who would that be? Yes. Well, okay. Upside down world, Bridget. No problem. You have all the benefits of all the various forms of birth control. You can still have abortions in most of the states in the United States. You can get the morning after pill. You can get the home abortion kit with a special baby bag you can throw in your trash can. How are the consequences taken away from you? Or what consequences do you have? Oh, I might have to be inconvenienced to go down to the abortion clinic. I might have to actually take a pill every day. I might have to ask them like a condom. And why are all the consequences on men if there's a pregnancy involved? Just curious. Just curious. As I've said before, the sexual revolution took all guardrails off with respect to women having sex. And it left all the previous and maybe even added to all the guardrails for men. See, totally ass backwards. That's okay, Bridget. We'll just go through the rest of your story. Just wanted to point that out. I was first inspired to write this piece when a 19-year-old woman I used to wait tables with. Okay. Asked me, Bridget, have you ever regretted having sex with a man? I laughed. Yeah, all of them. She's a comedian, right? Okay. That's not entirely true. There was my first love in high school. Now, here's the conundrum for a lot of people. A lot of men, we don't understand a lot of this shit. You'll see shortly. Let's see. She talks about her first love in high school. And my first husband. But if I'm honest with myself, of the dozens of men I've been with, at least the ones I remember, I think we're talking triple digits here, gentlemen. I can only think of a handful I don't regret. The rest I would put in the category of casual, which I would define as zags. That is either meaningless or mediocre or, so even if it isn't good, if I really get honest with myself, I'd say most of these usually drunken encounters left me feeling empty and demoralized and worthless. But I'm sure at the time, though, it felt pretty good, didn't it? I'm sure at the time, you're looking through the lens of history here. At the time, it's like, oh my God, what a crazy night. I got my back blown out and my guts rearranged. And I got free breakfast too, and it was great. I'm sure that wasn't the case. I've been down this road just a couple times, not too much. And I agree with her. It's icky. I don't like it at all. It's like, ew, you know, you call it post-nut clarity. I don't care what you call it. I don't like it. It's icky. And it's not just because it's icky. It's because you fuck this person. You don't care about them. You don't care about the girl. You're just like, I just got my rocks off. It's just a terrible thing to, I didn't like it. And so, of course, I don't do it. I wouldn't have said that at the time, though. At the time, I would have told you I was liberated, even while I tried to drink away the sick feeling of rejection when my most recent hookup didn't call me back. So what does that sound like to you guys? Sounds like she was fucking Chad. I mean, back in her day, she was a comedian here. Not bad. Not bad. I mean, she's still pretty attractive, but I mean, back then she was, fit and, hey, we get old, right? What are you going to do? She was going for the Chads and working in comedy clubs. I mean, what do you expect? That's why I say it's been the hamster's hard-earned experience. Stay away from chicks in the entertainment business. All forms of it. Not just the OnlyFans and all that. All of it. There's something different about chicks who are drawn to that sort of lifestyle. The comedians, the musicians, the radio people, TV people. There's something different. Trust me on that. At the time, I would have said one night stands made me feel emboldened, empowered, liberated. Hey, you go, girl. But in reality, I was using sex like a drug, trying unsuccessfully to fill a hole inside me with men. Pun intended, yeah. Okay. I know regretting most of my sexual encounters is not something a sex-positive feminist. Mm-hmm. Let that sink in. Whoa. Who used to write a column for Playboy. You're supposed to admit. And for years, I didn't. Let me be clear, being a slut and sleeping with a lot of men is not the only behavior I regret. Even more damaging was what I told myself in order to justify the fact that I was disposable to these men. I told myself I didn't care. Okay. These men, in particular, Chads. Occasionally the hamster bass player at 2 a.m, but not really. I didn't care when a man ghosted me. No one believes this, Bridget. No one believes you. You are lying. Of course you cared. Stop. Especially if he was tall, good-looking, and handsome. Nick, please. Why do these women got to lie about this crap? We know what they're thinking. Well, not really, but we have an idea. I didn't care when he left in the middle of the night or hinted he wanted me to leave. Yes, you did. It broke you up, dear. You just said right here, drink away the sick feeling of rejection. You did care. See how you just got to pay attention. The walks of shame, the blackouts, the anxiety. I told myself for decades I'm not in pain, I'm empowered. No, you were an alcoholic and you were a drug addict until very recently. So that's how you were coping with this pain. You drank and you took drugs, but it hurt you, dear. It hurt you bad. Even though you say, I didn't care, you did. You just coped with it in a chemical sort of fashion. Looking back, it isn't a surprise I lied to myself because from a young age, sex was something I was lied to about. Okay, here we go. Growing up Catholic, you see the evil Catholics. What did the evil Catholics have to say? Long before I ever had sex, I felt ashamed of my natural sexual urges and awkward in my blossoming female body. Everyone who goes through puberty feels weird about their body. So the reason the Catholic Church or your parents are telling you certain things is because you don't know what to do. You don't know how to deal with it. They're trying to help you cope with this very difficult time for both boys and girls. That's it. But of course, no, it's oppression. Growing up Catholic, all I remember about sex was feeling bad about it before I even knew what it is. I only knew that sex before marriage was wrong. Well, that's what they told us, yes. That's according to the Catholics believe that. Well, they used to. Even the thought of a sexual act or masturbation filled me with debilitating guilt. Yeah, the sin of Onan was really dear for men spilling his seed. Didn't say anything about the girls. You got a free pass. Get the super big, huge dildo. The first time I kissed the boy, I was convinced I'd be punished, struck down by an angry, and check it out, misogynistic God. See, the rules of God only applied to women. For the boy would never get struck down by the misogynistic God, just the girl. Okay, then. As I got older, I was told to guard my virginity. Yeah. What are you going to tell your child? Same thing? No. Well-meaning mothers and aunties were clear I needed to withhold zegs in order to get a man to love and respect me. No, they probably said something on the order of, look, if you give it up to everyone, you're not going to get the quality guy you think you're going to get. That's probably closer to what they actually told you, Bridget, but go ahead and say whatever you want to. Fine. Segs was a commodity, a priceless gem I had to hang on that increased in value the longer I held it. It made me feel... Okay, then. Yeah. And although I don't think that was the intention of the wise women, no, it wasn't, you dumbass. There are sayings and aphorisms and little, memes, I suppose. Why buy the cow when the milk is free? There's a reason why that has stuck. Because why would you invest in the cow if you can get the milk for free? That's what your auntie was telling you. You're not going to land a good guy. You'll get plenty of guys to fuck your brains out, but you're not going to get a good guy to marry. Because if everybody has a ride on that bicycle, it ain't worth nothing. And although I don't think that was the intention of the wise, right, whatever. And now we get into some bullshit. Oh, sex oppressive. Because evil man. I'm surprised she didn't say something like, well, the reason why my auntie and my granny told me this is because their husbands beat them on the daily. Evil patriarchy. I can see. Sorry. The shame and guilt I grew up with. The reason why they shamed you was they didn't want you to do it. Very simple. Out of love and compassion, and they wanted you to have a better life. Don't do this. Things are going to work out a lot better if you don't. That's why they told you that. It's not oppression. I resented the double standard that men could be promiscuous and it would raise their status and a woman would be slut-shamed for some behavior. Well, again, it really, really depends on which men you're looking at, doesn't it? What are we supposed to do about biology, nature, evolution, when in fact women would prefer a man who has more experience, and men would prefer a woman who has very little? What am I supposed to do about that? Oh, that's the evil patriarchy God in heaven or something, right? Women would be slut-shamed for this behavior because they're the ones that could get knocked up. Dumbass. You got the circus clowns coming through town. They don't give a shit. You'll never see them again. Do you understand the point? Of course not. I'm a woman. I'm impressed. my burgeoning, unfolded repressive religious order. Okay, fine. Now, did you remember her first love was her high school boyfriend? You remember that? Remember that? Back up. My first love in high school. Remember that? So who did she give up the poon to? Her first high school love, puppy love in high school? No. She fucked her boss at the restaurant where she worked. Not the high school love. No. The 23-year-old loser managing the fucking Arby's. I'm sorry, Arby's. I don't mean any offense. The XYZ restaurant. Fast food. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and women wonder why men have such a hard time understanding these things that they do. And she talks about some made-up nonsense. The culture was right there to pick me up and dust me off. I doubled down on being a proud... internalized. I mean, she's getting it here, but it takes a while to get through it. That loveless sex is empowering. I basked in the you go girl power glow, blah, 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 for decades. Decades, people. 17 to 37, what is that, 20 years? I mean, she's not as bad as some. You know, she's 43 now, so she rode on the old carousel for about 25 years. Okay. Convincing myself full of divine faith. It's all bullshit. It's all nonsense. Let's just go through this grill. Whenever a man wanted to pick up the tab or pull out the chair or open the door or pick me up, take dinner, see me during the day, wait longer than the first day. I was shocked and suspicious of them. Was he a serial killer? When a man acted like a gentleman, chivalrous, I suppose, in some ways. That was a bad thing. But the guys who wanted to fuck me and leave me in the middle of the fucking, also a bad thing. So what exactly were you looking for, Bridget? Sure. I have no idea. Casual sex is fraught with insecurity and miscommunication. Intimacy and love are punchlines. When a man I slept with had the courtesy to reach out, okay, I mistook relief for happiness. Rewiring my brain to be grateful for the bare minimum. The saddest realization is how low I set the bar. Yeah. Mm-hmm. A lifetime of allowing myself to be the other woman. Chad Chaser confirmed. Yo, baby. Yo, baby. She was getting dicked down by the top shelf dudes, but only as the side chick. Oh, wow. Good enough to fuck, but not good enough to call in the morning. I got you. Taken for granted or treated like a doormat under false pretense of being empowered. When they were arrival text message from an on-again, off-again lover. So she had friends with benefits here. This is bad. Good night, baby. I love you, it said. Quickly followed by wrong person. Okay, that's fucking that's Kelvin fucking cold right there. That's brutal. Oh my God. He didn't have to say wrong person, did he? Or did he actually say that? Or is this just another made-up fantasy to make her story look bad? I don't know. Rock bottom doesn't always look like losing everything or ending up in jail. Sometimes it can be that sick feeling in your guts when, emotionally you're done. I wanted to be able to have meaningless sex like a guy with allegedly no consequences, but it didn't work. It's kind of like smoking, Bridget. You smoke cigarettes, you're 15. Smoking's cool. Because the consequences are put out into the future. Right? You can smoke 70 years, smoke 10 packs of cigarettes a day or whatever. But my grandma smoked 20 packs a day, and she's still alive at 98. Yeah, that doesn't work that way for most people, though. There are consequences, and the toll must be paid. at some point. You got to think this stuff through. Nobody is perfect. Everybody's fucked up. But come on now. Come on. I wanted to be able to have meaningless sex with a guy with no consequences. Yes, we know, dear. We got it. After years of writing for Playboy, I learned it doesn't work for a lot of men either. No shit. Wow. Gotcha. For years, I tried unsuccessfully not to catch the feels. Even that expression is still telling. Blah, 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 blah. But she says in her article, you can read it. Oh, I couldn't stand myself. And it didn't matter to me. I didn't care. But she did care. And she numbed herself with alcohol and drugs. And I tried not to catch the feels. I thought you said you didn't care. All right. I'm not speaking for all women. I know many women with a solid sense of self who happily have love success. Well, isn't that the fucking problem, Bridget? That's the problem. And the same with men. I'm not just pointing out women here. Everybody's got to stop fucking like rabbits. This kind of shit is part of the reason why our society is going into a fucking toilet. There doesn't seem to be any decency in it. There doesn't seem to be any limit on anything. Got to get that under control. You know, I'm too old. Doesn't matter to me anymore. But for the next generations, we got to get this shit figured out. Or what's going to happen? Do anything? Hedonism to the nth degree, and then bitch and moan and expect the government to pay when the consequences come due? We're almost there, people, already. So you can read the whole thing. It's in the chat. It's in the description. Let me go back to my StreamYard and say hello. Wait, where are you? There you are. Hello. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Again, it's still reminds me of the female mindset, the modern woman mindset. Well, I should be able to go out and have all this sex like a man, but then I feel really bad, and then I drown myself in alcohol and drugs to get through the pain. There's an idea here. Don't do it. Resist the temptation, and God damn, don't tell me I don't know how hard it is. Don't tell me. It's tough. It's tough to do the right thing. Oh, what is the right thing? You're evil. You're a Catholic. The right thing is control yourself. To the extent that the whole thing with Jesus. Jesus knows you're going to be a sinner, or Allah, pick your God. They know we're going to be sinners. They're just saying, try your best to control it. I mean, 0 would be good, but try your best to control it. We're not even trying anymore. We're not even trying anymore. Guardrails are off. There's no consequences, well, for women especially. For nothing. We all need to have some guidance, some control from our parents, from God, from Allah, from Yahweh, from Buddha. Pick your God. There's a reason why these ancient texts, the Quran, the Bible, I can't pronounce it, but the one that the long time ago in India, there's a reason why this wisdom was written down and has stood the test of time for generations. If you don't believe in God, why don't you think about this? Maybe it's just the wisdom of humans written down. Don't do this shit because you're going to get to a bad end. Now, the problem with Bridget, she's going to tell her little daughter the same thing. Little girl, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't drive your car into a tree because it's going to be, you don't know anything. You're a square. And besides, when you were my age, you were out fucking like a rabbit. So go away. That's the hard part. That's the hard part. And that's why we had God involved for a while, because God would kind of, hey, this is what God said, you know. You don't have to listen to me, but what about God? Now we don't even have that. Do what you want. Consequence-free life. All right. Good to see you guys. Maybe do something later. Have a good one, and do read the article. It's pretty interesting. Also, Ben Shapiro did a commentary on the article as well, but he reads a lot faster that way. So I would thank you. Bhagavad Gita or Vita? Okay, thank you, Jerry C. Appreciate that. All right, gentlemen. Live long and prosper. Have a good Sunday. Talk to you later. Thank you.